Hi friends, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda. I'm a gardener here in Zone 6 in Cincinnati, Ohio. The weather has been so cool at nights that we're getting down into the 50s. This week, I've held off on planting out my brassicas for the sole reason that this week we are supposed to get up into the high 80s, almost 90s some days. And I don't want to plant out my brassicas for them to just bolt. Been kind of fiddling my fingers with little garden tasks to keep me busy so I don't plant those guys out too soon. Today, we're going to get to something that has been on my list, but I haven't quite done yet simply because it has rained or I watered them and got them wet. We are going to be harvesting the dry beans. A majority of the beans that I have planted are my black beans and some Good Mother Stallard. I believe that's the name. If that's not what they're called, I will go ahead and put the name of that bean down here. But it's a beautiful bean. In a recent seed haul, I went ahead and purchased some other pole varieties of beans. So I got some really pretty unique varieties, but one of the varieties that I have planted right now are the Good Mother Stallard, and I'm super excited to get them harvested. I don't know how many of those I actually have ready to come off. I do know that I have some red kidney beans as well, although I don't quite remember where I planted everything. Everything here on my arch trellis is the black beans, but my two trellises have kind of converged into one. So let's get a nice slow pace of picking beans. So as you guys can see, I have a bunch of dried beans on this trellis. This variety is a pole bean. Pole beans, basically, much like indeterminate tomatoes, continue to grow until disease or pest, or the cold weather makes it so that they stop growing. So pole beans will just continue to grow and grow and grow. There are other varieties that are called bush beans. Bush beans will set an entire flush of beans all at once. They will grow, anywhere between 1 to 3 feet tall. So those ones take up a little less space. Those ones are really good for canning fresh beans, like with the pod. While pole beans, I find, I don't know if this is exactly true, but the varieties that I have grown have been for dry beans, where you're letting these pods stay on the plant until they get good and crispy. And that's when you go ahead and harvest. You can kind of tell the difference between when they're ready to harvest for dried beans and when they're not. When you go ahead and actually put your fingers on those beans, the skin of that bean pod will be super brittle. And if you squeeze it between your fingers on the ribs, you can actually split it open. And it should make some beautiful crunching sounds. And if those beans were properly pollinated, you'll get some beautiful plump dry beans. These beans are good to just put into a jar and use as dry beans. You can go ahead and rehydrate them overnight, or you can go ahead and can them like I am planning on doing. I've just been waiting for an abundance of beans so that I can actually make it a day of canning beans, because didn't quite get enough last season. I would actually love to know what beans you guys love to grow, whether that is for how beautiful they are. That can be with the skins or beautiful dried beans. I would love to know what your favorite bean is for flavor. I know I typically love using kidney beans, black beans, and pinto beans. This year I was only able to get my hands on dark red kidney beans. Those 3 varieties are ones that I like to use in my chili recipe, which I do have a video for my chili recipe. I'll go ahead and link that up on the video. I would love your suggestions of beans I should go ahead and try out for next season. So go ahead and pop those down in the comments. Alright, so the good mother stallard are on this portion of my trellis, my rickety old Amazon trellis that I kind of added some chicken wire, and I've got some wood stakes keeping it up. But you can kind of tell the difference between this bean being the good mother stallard. It's a thicker pod because it's a thicker bean versus our black beans, which are a thinner bean. So we got some crossover because they are grabbing one another. There's not as many of the good stallard that are actually dry. That is when you want to go ahead and actually pluck dried beans if you're going to keep them as dried beans. There are a few that look like they might be a little crispier, but not very many, which is okay. Just have to wait to get some of those guys. Out in the crosshairs. So we've got a few bean pods of the good mother stallard. They are a beautiful bean, which I will for sure show you guys. I really think that's maybe all we're getting. Got one more. Not the best basket for harvesting beans, but that's okay. And then we have some more on this side, which I think these are black beans. Yeah. So, some more black beans, which I am all for. Alright guys, so this is my little bean haul. We've got a mixture of some dark red kidney beans, some black beans. We've got the good mother stallard, which are absolutely stunning. And again, not the right harvest basket for beans. I'd grab something that doesn't have holes in it next time maybe, but I was struggling to find even one basket. So these beans are so pretty. Such pretty beans. I've never actually cooked with these guys, and this is gonna be my first year, I think, of canning black beans. Last year I saved all of my black beans because I didn't plant quite enough to can, and this year I want to go ahead and can those black beans. Canning them just makes it so that they are ready for use, so that you're not having to rehydrate them. Because typically with dried beans, you need to go ahead and rehydrate them like overnight. Sometimes I don't have that kind of time. I'm not thinking ahead that much. So having them canned and ready to go on my shelf makes it so that I'm much more likely to grab those items. I do like using them in tacos and the likes. So we've got a beautiful little haul of black beans. I'm gonna go inside because it is starting to heat up quite a bit, and kind of just relax and peel my beans. So I hope you guys enjoyed this short little video. Hopefully it was a little relaxing. The summer garden is past its peak, so things are kind of looking a little sad, and of course the heat hasn't quite broken just yet. This weekend I am actually hoping to film a garden tour, just so I can give everyone a view of what it's like to have a garden in Ohio, Zone 6, towards the end of August. Because while there are some really beautiful sections of my garden, there are some that are quite sad. And that's just kind of how it is. Things kind of go in waves with the garden. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps to bring in new people. And I just am so thankful for everyone who is here with me currently and who continues to join the family. So I will go ahead and pop another gardening video up here for you guys to enjoy until my next upload. But until then, thank you guys so much for joining me. Happy gardening, and I will see you guys in the next one.